What's up, guys? It's Branden Flash. Today we're at the Winston-Salem, North Carolina Tesla Supercharger, and we're going to charge my Rivian. And you might be wondering, how the heck are we going to be charging my Rivian? I can already feel the confusion happening. But this site is actually a little bit unique. So this cabinet behind us is actually a step-down transformer from the 480 volt, 277 volt service that's needed for the Tesla superchargers that are installed here. 3 PSU units. That'll be a separate video either before or after this, diving into this Tesla supercharger install as well as another one that I visited today. But we're actually going to be charging my Rivian because, as I mentioned, this site is unique and has level 2 charging, and it's the first that I've encountered personally. I know there are some kind of scattered around the country that has wall connectors Gen 3 with J1772 that are actually enabled for billing non-Tesla vehicles. And I did have a chance to see how this works for Tesla vehicles, and it works exactly as you'd expect. You just plug in with your J1772 adapter and it's able to bill through that. But for a non-Tesla, it's a little bit more complicated. So let me demonstrate how this works and show you how this is going. I'll record my screen. And the reason that this is important is not just for level 2 charging, but most likely this is going to be how Tesla bills for supercharging when that becomes a reality for non-Teslas. Essentially, once we have an adapter, all the frameworks are already there. This is exactly the same way that you pay for supercharging for a non-Tesla in Europe or any other country that has open supercharging, since the UK and Norway technically are not part of Europe anymore, or the EU. But everyone is always like, well, how are you going to pay for supercharging if you have a non-Tesla and you're charging a supercharger? And Tesla's already solved this because they're Tesla, and it's a non-problem at all, and people are just making a problem out of something that it's not. So let's jump into it, and let me show you how this is done. So here we have the Tesla wall connector. This is a Gen 3 unit. You can tell because it has this like glass face. Usually these are white. However, I believe they're black for the J1772 version. Here we have the J1772 handle itself. So if you're not a super EV nerd like I am, this is the charge port that every non-Tesla has, and that every Tesla actually includes an adapter for. And this is what's used for AC or slow charging. So like what you would do at home or at an office, things like this. Normally this wouldn't make sense at a supercharger location, but there's actually a gym here, there's some shopping, there's some food, things like that. So I think in this case, having this makes sense. And in some cases, Tesla will be required to install universal charging by a site host requests or other things, essentially. There's many different factors that influence Tesla's installations. This site looks like it could use some cable management. As you can see, this is kind of tangled here. But let me put this back here. I'm going to pull out my second phone here, and we're going to activate this unit. So we've got the Tesla app. Let's actually just scan this QR code first. So if you pull up here and you try to charge, you'll see this sign here. It's important that you park in this specific stall, because if you park in this stall here, even though with my Rivian, this would be the more natural stall for the charge port location and the unit location, you'd actually be blocking this supercharger stall. So if I were Tesla, I would probably add like an auxiliary sign or something there saying like not for non-Teslas or something like that in this stall, but minor details. So let's scan this QR code. I'm actually screen recording, so hopefully I can overlay all this for you guys. So there we go, charge your non-Tesla, just like that. So get the app. I already have the app, so let's go into the app. And there we can see this new option. So if you scroll all the way over, once you go into the menu here, and this works whether you have a Tesla or not, or have had a Tesla in the past, you do have to have an account. So we'll allow while using the app. So here it'll pull up a map. We're connected to the Rivian hotspot, so apologies if it's a little bit slow. Unable to find nearby chargers. That's interesting. Try zooming out here. I did test this prior, so that's interesting that it's seemingly not working. Oh, it disconnected from the truck Wi-Fi. So let's connect to my personal hotspot. Apologies, minor details here. So we'll go back into Charge Your Non-Tesla. There we go. Now it should work. We're seeing a map. So we have Winston-Salem, North Carolina wall connector. You can see that it's charging 29 cents a kilowatt hour. And we're going to hit charge here. Has my credit card on file, shows me at 29 cents a kilowatt hour, and you can either enter manually, so it'll show you how you can do that. And you can see here where that has the serial number, but we're gonna do it via the QR code because that should work slightly better. Once you use the camera, okay, so we'll go QR code just like that on the side of the unit. And it says plug in to start charging, so I'm gonna set that down there. This case actually matches the truck, kinda. Of course, that's my old phone, and now Apple doesn't offer that color anymore. Open my charge port, and we'll get plugged in. And let's see how long it takes to start charging. So we got blue light, that means it's communicating there. And green light, just like that, we're charging. And while that ramps up, so as far as power flow goes here, you've got 480, 277, three-phase transformer. There's power going to here. It's a 70 amp circuit. Potentially that's coming off of one of these distribution cabinets for the supercharging unit. Not 100% sure. But here you can see 70 amp. And then this is stepping it down to 240 volt, which I'll show you in just a second. And you can tell by the charging power. And here you can see that we're getting a full 11 kilowatts, just like that. And we'll be charged to 85% in 8 hours. So great power. You can see 48 amps. And you can tell that it's 240 volt because we're getting 11 kilowatts. Otherwise, we'd only be getting 9 and change if it was 208 volt. So let's see on the Tesla app how that looks while you're charging and billing and things like that. And we don't have any kilowatt hour accrued yet, but it'll show live cost kilowatt hour usage and your current charge rate while you're in the app. Let's just go out and back in, see if it recalculates it all. Nothing quite yet, but we're going to charge up for a little bit. I'm actually doing that version 3 Supercharger deep dive. Well, we've been charging for a little while here. We've added 5.8 kilowatt hour according to the Rivian. We've added 6 kilowatt hour according to Tesla app. Not bad. Let's get unplugged here, see how that looks. Stop charging. Just like that. It's pretty quick to respond. And just like that, we're unplugged. Well, that was a demonstration of what it's like to charge a Rivian at a Tesla Supercharger site. Not on a Tesla Supercharger, unfortunately, as of today. But if you are interested, I actually did charge an Audi e-tron at a Supercharger in Norway. So highly recommend checking that out. I actually have quite a few videos from when I was in Norway, checking out some of the infrastructure there. Put about 2,000 kilometers on an Audi e-tron in about, I think, 8 days there, something like that. It was pretty great. But I'm curious to see what you guys think of this, whether you want to see this rolled out to more places, whether you think that we're going to have open superchargers soon, and how that will look. But I'm certainly excited to see that Tesla is actually doing it, offering this service to non-Teslas through their own hardware. One thing I did want to mention, so Tesla wall connectors, they don't actually have cellular, or at least the publicly sold versions don't. So I did check, and there's actually a Tesla service Wi-Fi network here, which is typically only at sites with Starlink. But I suspect they're doing that so that way the wall connectors can connect to the cellular that's used for the superchargers. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one.